He's playing soccer.
Seriously? I have slides in here for Kyle. You guys are going to have to tell him when I get to him.
Wow,
So
he's a jerk.
Yeah.
European now. He can't be bothered.
He's
With the
European.
football.
Is that like the new
With
way of
football?
people?
I should silence my
Dude.
devices.
Yeah.
Unless
See,
you're
you
gonna-
got this. I'm not going to present.
Unless you're going to tweet at me.
You good?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to make her present?
If she's got content.
I do. I went through 25 minutes of it in 7 minutes of DEF CON. It was
Oh, you
amazing.
sound like my first talk. Welcome to misec Jackson. Don't really have a lot of announcements. Buy your GerCon tickets. Sure do that. There's Lansing Mel has a CISSP training going on. When is that?
Starts September 9th. It goes every week for 10 weeks.
All right, so September 9th goes every week for 10 weeks. Boot camp for CISP through SANS. All right, cool. Other than that, Wolf has the floor. He's going to talk about PCI and whatever else he decides to talk about.
Very
Maybe we'll
little
get
on
Amanda up
PCI.
here.
More on fun stuff. Yeah, my goal is to speak for 90 minutes, so Amanda only gets 7.
Oh, 90 minutes, jeez.
I don't know no more.
He's just
All right.
making
Huh?
fun.
Yes, I am. Thanks, everyone. All right, so new ways to steal. My name's Wolf Goerlich. I am involved with Converge. I'm involved with CBI, where I am a strategist with them. It's a pretty fun gig. They do a lot with the community. They send me out a lot of different places. I enjoy quite a bit. I also get to work on a lot of hard problems, which I enjoy quite a bit. And another thing I get to do is lead the CBI labs, or CBI Academy. So what CBI Academy is we take kids right out of college or in transition, hire 6 to 10 of them, put them in a team, and we do really cool projects with them. Train them up for a quarter, then launch their careers. And some of the content I'll call out when I get to it that I'm covering today actually came from some of the Academy projects. So with CBI, talking to senior security leaders at the top of their career, with the Academy, talking to people at the bottom of their career, it gives me a good perspective of everything I know and a lot of stuff I don't know. And one of the things I love about misec is this. You guys all see this before, right? Like, we think that everyone knows everything about what, everything that they need to know, and we only know a little bit. The reality is that everyone knows different areas, and there's a great deal of overlap when we learn from each other. And the thing I always love about misec is having those conversations and learning from you guys, learning from each other, what everyone's exploring. So when we go through this today, we're going to look at several different payment systems, some hacks in them, but I'm going to stop at the end of each one and we'll just have a discussion about it, right? Maybe you guys have seen something that's similar to it. Maybe you guys have some questions about it. Maybe I thought it was this way and it's really that way. Probably 90% of what I say today is going to be accurate. 10% is going to be completely god-awful wrong. So I'm hoping you guys will correct me on that 10%. Make sense?
Yeah, sounds good.
Sweet. So what's driving this is crime, right? So this was a stat that just came out. The SAM, ladies and gentlemen. I swear that's got to be like a Matrix thing. The SAM guards the door. It was great.
Can't get by Sam, can't get in.
No, I know, right? And I had to really social engineer my way in. It was terrible. I was like, hey, how's it going? So there's this survey that said the cybercrime is now a $3 trillion industry, right? $3 trillion in cybercrime today, which I think is kind of interesting. I think of like the kind of movies where they glorify the drug dealers, right? And Breaking Bad and all this sort of stuff. But no, cybercrime is now trumping drug crime. You gotta throw me louder, man. I can't hear you.
No, I said that was my life, like more just the pizza on the roof part of the show.
Breaking Bad, Pizza on the Roof, that was MWJ. But, and that's kind of interesting, right? Because you're more the hacker anyways. You're not necessarily the drug crime. Well, maybe not you, but other people in this room.
We're getting liberal with the word hacker.
And I'm excited about that because hey, how's it going? Have a seat. As the cybercrime takes the place of the drug crime, right? I mean, Breaking Bad was okay, it was a good show. But wouldn't it be better to have like one of our own? Like, can we have like Breaking Bites? I mean, Taco Pirate could totally own this. You guys know it's true. So, cybercrime is everywhere. It's growing. And
Yeah.
you know you could, right?
Yeah.
Wait,
It would work.
totally new.
Let's make a show.
It's the way it is. It's do
I've
it.
known you for years.
And if you're watching this, any
Oh my God,
producers,
looks so
please
familiar.
contact me, Wolf Goerlich. I'll get you in touch with Taco Pirate for a fee. So today we're going to talk about some of the ways that money is moving around in new payment systems and some of the ways people are stealing it. And some of it's kind of clever, some of it's pretty obvious and things that we've been doing for a long time. I want to look at these payment systems not necessarily as, okay, yeah, they're a payment system and whatnot, because anyone here actually do payment systems? No one? Anyone actually care about PCI? Oh, one person that cares about PCI, woohoo!
We should all care about PCI.
We should, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, carefully
We all make
paid
payments.
off audience member. So I want to use this as a opportunity to talk a little bit about first principles and some of the things that we can use and think about in every security system, right? Not just payment systems, but everything that we touch and working on. So we can always talk about, solutions for future problems, but today what I want to look at is actually some future problems for our current solutions, things that are going to go bad wrong as we scale up. And we'll start by talking about PCI because two people care about it. Honestly, I like PCI because there is very rarely a system that doesn't need these controls, right? So if you look at them, there's some great things here. Why don't we install firewall? Hey, that's a good idea. And I know. Let's change passwords. All right, I can buy that. Let's change passwords. Let's protect our data. Right on. Let's encrypt that data. Fantastic. We'll use some antivirus. We'll maintain secure systems. Restrict cardholder data. Give everyone a unique ID. Keep the bad people out and track all access. You guys get that in, have a policy. These are good controls. These are good controls across the board. If you're looking at SANS critical security controls, those are good controls across the board. Whatever your control framework is, it's a probably pretty good idea to apply it across the board. I think PCI gets a bad rap, right? But what's interesting is through scoping and through the very way that these systems are built, none of these controls, as you guys will see, will really help us with most of our emerging payment systems. It's pretty good for helping us with credit cards, pretty not so good for helping us with everything else. So with that as a background, we're going to jump way back in history. I'm going to talk a little bit about TJ Maxx because I think it illustrates an interesting point about security control. So you guys all remember the TJ Maxx story, right? 2007, some hacker kids broke in, Gonzalez got on the system and he stole a bunch of credit card data. So if you think about your system, can I write on this? Can I write on paper or no?
Yes.
It's,
There's a guarantee I'm not gonna write. All right,
it's
so
physically possible.
it's all good. Don't worry about it. But the Sam says.
He's got it.
So just real quick, right? You got a whole bunch of people, and I'm horrible. I don't even know if I'm on mic now. I'm not gonna completely mess up your streaming.
Bring it over. Come on.
Card, wheels.
It's got wheels.
Good card.
Are you
go.
that much manager that you need someone to do it?
The beautiful thing about the Academy is people will roll things for me. You know what? You're off my nice list. So you got all these people with credit cards,
I
right?
know. I don't know how that happened.
Draw it up higher. You're not on camera.
And you got some terminals.
You need to lift it up.
Yeah, it's gotta be up higher.
Push it back.
Oh, seriously?
Come on.
Everybody, all three people watching the stream are.
Yeah,
just
no one
pissed.
cares. They'll all yell at me in IRC tomorrow and ask me what I said to do. Alright, so you got some terminals.
They're yelling right now.
You're aggregating, I believe it. You're aggregating to a database. And then you got your payment cloud, and then you got your processors, right? So like authorized.net, whatever. Like something like that. So what's interesting about TJ Maxx is some kids with very little technical ability, right? WEP, wireless equivalent protection, fantastic. Went in through WEP and got the credit cards out of the database. Now, you might say, well, why the hell is the credit cards in the database? Well, because of TJX, they wanted to track buyer pattern, they wanted to track, discounts, all that sort of stuff. So all the clear text credit card information was right there, all in one database. All they had to do was basically download it. Fantastic, right? Fantastic for the bad guys. And we're like, hey, you know what? This is bad. We should never let this happen again. So what do we all say? So hey, well, I'll do tokens. Tokens are phenomenal. So with tokens, we'll no longer store the credit cards over here in clear text. We'll store them as a hashed value, which has some of the swipe data and everything else. And PCI made tokens really fantastic. And they said, hey, you guys, everyone should do tokens. Here's some information. You should do tokens. No, to sweeten the pot, guess what? If you do tokens, all those great controls we talked about, yeah, they're out of scope. Wait a minute. All those great controls we just talked about are out of scope. Yeah, don't worry about it. As long as you're doing tokens, we don't have to have authentication, encryption, physical access, and everything over here. Because you got tokens. Oh, you guys are killing me. Don't do that. Don't do that. So, industry adopts tokens, right? And now we get to Target. You guys all know the Target story too, because everyone's told it to you a million billion times. What I think is interesting though, all right, we'll just go back through it. November 2013, people broke in. They got access through HVAC systems, to a central management system that pushed out updates to these terminals. So you can no longer get the credit card information off the databases. Right, that was done. Those tokens, no one can touch that. But it's still in clear text in all the terminals. And it's clear text in two different places. Clear text in memory, which is how this malware actually stole it. So they got it out of here. It's also clear text on the swipe machines. So a lot of the card swipes are not encrypted either. So you swipe a card, you got two stages. You can get it off USB. For any of the misec hacker teams, we did CTFs before we had to do that. So you can get off the USB. You can also get it out of the driver layer. But here they installed a whole bunch of malware and snaked off the terminals. So instead of having to, let's say, get one database, now they have to get, let's say, 1,000 terminals to get the same amount of credit cards. So the scales just went up to get the same amount of information. But still, we're talking about, scores and scores of credit card information out loud. So, what does that mean in terms of principles? Well, the first thing is that I hate the word out of scope. Does anyone like that word out of scope? Only if you're dealing with auditors.
I try to run my life out of scope. Do my best work out of scope, actually.
Your best work out of scope. It's a gold plating. Scope, it's the MWJ gold standard.
Yeah.
I'd ask Amanda if she's busy coughing
I'm
because she
gonna
went to
die.
DEF CON and had a good time about it. So, out of scope is terrible. Out of scope is good if you're trying to minimize your work and effort, right? Yeah, I don't have to encrypt every blah, blah, blah. But out of scope for us does not mean out of scope for the attackers. As a matter of fact, it's the exact opposite. Every time they say out of scope, that means the criminals are like, jackpot, that's where I'm going. And as you move throughout a payment system and you keep adding areas out of scope, that's where you're basically shoving the attackers to. Next thing is end-to-end, right? So anytime there's end-to-end anything, where are they going to attack us at? The ends. And so as we move the ends for encryption and for clear text, all we're simply doing is redirecting the attacker. So if you think about water, you're trying to control water with dams. As you put up different obstacles and everything, and you can route it around, you're doing the exact same thing with criminals. Every time we make something out of scope, or every time we move the end, we are simply shifting them to a different spot. In effect, all we're doing is making a better class of criminal. And that's what tokenization is. And so right now, everyone with PCI DSS is rushing out. They're like, tokenize everything. And I get tons and tons of media requests and customer requests. Hey, can you talk to us about tokens? I understand that makes everything out of scope. I'm like, yes. I will talk to you about why everything's out of scope and why that's really a bad idea. Before I go forward, anyone want to talk about TJMX, tokens, Target? Maybe not. No. Okay.
I hear they're hiring.
Yeah, I hear they're hiring.
Target is hiring. That's a good point. Chris Payne, we love you, buddy. These people, they know now that you're hiring. I expect 2 great candidates. We'll talk about it on the side. All right, moving on. So we move the endpoint, right? We move the endpoint through this whole system. And now people are attacking the terminals, but now we're going to start tokenizing on the terminals using swipes that are encrypted, using swipes that token at that point. Which means now instead of trying to having to compromise all the cards or all the terminals, we're trying to compromise all the cards, which is where things like Apple Pay comes into play. So what Apple Pay does is instead of storing that card and swiping on the device using NFC, near field communication, you're actually swiping on the terminal and passing that token in. So this is where my Academy guy, Drew Sutter, comes into play. Follow Friday and the Tuesday for Drew. What Drew's project was is he set up a iOS simulator, authorized.net simulator, Apple Pay simulator, and an application. And he tested it end to end and started playing around with the tokens and running things on the static analysis of the code base and looking for possible different attack paths. Really cool thing. It was one of the things that he talked about at B-Sides Detroit. Some interesting research. But basically, some of the things he found was when you move these tokens to the endpoint, okay, that's good. Now you can't compromise on the terminal, that's good. You can't just dump a database, that's good. What can you do? Well, there's some other areas that you can get to it, right? So again, it's when it's end-to-end, you attack the ends. There's clear text during onboarding. So some of the things that we're starting to see with Apple Pay is fake prompts to have you go through the onboarding again. There's actually a proof of concept exploit where you would join their Wi-Fi and they would make you pay your consumer's bill. Wait, I got that back. You join their Wi-Fi and it would pop you up a page, right, just like you always do when you join the Wi-Fi. And it would say, oh, you know, your Apple Pay is prompting you to put your credit card back in. And people go, oh, that's weird, my credit card back in. And that's how they're stealing it. Kind of interesting. Because now that it's not on the device, they have to do those types of things. Other things that they're looking at is higher up on the food chain. So can we look at that routing of the payment information? So if I go back to here, as we go through the payment processor down to things like authorized.net, the processors, can I interact with the routing? Can I interrupt the routing? Can I do like pass the token attacks? Because the token itself does not contain the dollar amount. So if you can intercept that token for a limited time, you could pass it to someone else. Very hypothetical because you'd have to be in the exact right spot in the network to do that. But it's something we were playing around in the environment. Talked about onboarding, interfacing with the payment service providers, and then hash tables for tokens. So I'm going to jump to the tokens next. But to understand that, let's look back at PCI, our friend PCI. So PCI is encouraging tokenization pretty heavily, right? Keep your data storage at a minimum, render it all unreadable, restrict access to the keys to the fewer number of custodians possible, store the keys securely. What else do we got here? Periodically rotate the encryption, right? So that all pushes us towards something like a format preserving token. Format preserving tokens could be in FFX, BPS, FCFM, those are the encryption standards, FFX being the most normal one. They gotta be collision free and they must be non-reversible. They're called format preserving tokens because it's a credit card number that still looks like a credit card number. All right? It has to be collision free because if you go back to why is it all in the database, it's all in the database because we want to track the purchases, we want to give them credit, right? We want to do gift cards, all that sort of stuff that big data proponents want to do. It's called format preserving token. It looks like a credit card because no one wants to invest the money in redoing all those applications. You change one field and add an extra column and now reports are crashing, developers are angry, and everyone's up in arms. And the last thing you want is a pissed off developer. I love those people, just don't make them angry. But the last thing is, it's kind of interesting, must be collision free, must be non-reversible. Hey, how's it going?
Good.
So what else do we know that's got to be collision free and non-reversible in terms of encryption? Hashes, exactly, right? So password hashes, things we've done for years and years. So this is something that we're looking at, right? So how do you crack a password? You don't crack a password usually anymore. You have a hash table, right? You run it through the hash table. One of the things that we're playing with now, and we'll probably be releasing this maybe about 6 months from now, is doing traditional password-style attacks, pass the hash, hashing table, those types of things, on these credit card tokens. Because it's the exact same concept. It's a different algorithm, yeah, FFX, okay, PPS, that's great, but it's the exact same concept. And those types of attacks that we've done for years and years still apply. So it may be pretty interesting that we've now said, hey, credit card companies or credit card processors, don't worry, you're out of scope. PCI will leave you alone if you move to tokens. Life is good. And now suddenly those tokens are completely worthless because you run them through a table and we can reverse them all. So that's kind of interesting. That'll be fun to see. So some principles on this side is, you guys see the movie Red? No one see the movie Red? I love the movie Red.
What's it about?
It's about old men kicking ass. It's my favorite movie.
Your type of movie?
Yes. You guys gotta see this clip if you have an old man my ass. It's fantastic. I've sent it to Nick, Jacob, and Belt so many times when they used to troll me. But all the old attacks are coming back, right? So pass the hash. Fantastic. Does that apply to credit cards? It damn well should. Hash tables. Fantastic. Does it apply to credit cards? It damn well should. Another one, again, old man my ass, is phone freaking techniques, right? Back in the old days when you could build a box and get free cards or whistle nuclear codes. I don't think you know how to say that. I forget I said that. Chris Payne, I don't know about that. No, never mind. But phone freaking and all those types of attacks also come back into play, and here's how that works. One of the frauds that we're seeing with Apple Pay is their method of protection is based on your landline, which is kind of an interesting choice. So let's say I know Chris here is using Apple Pay, because I'm going to steal your money here in a minute, and I brute force his password because it's 8 characters, 1, 2, 3, 4, or summer 2015. I know, I'm telling you my passwords. If anyone wants my Apple Pay, now you have it. So you would get access to his account and port his landline and then add your phone to his account, okay? I'm gonna add my phone to Chris's wallet, and it would say, whoa, wait a minute, we're secure, and it would call your landline, and the landline would say, please enter the code 1234, you enter the code 1234, and now you've completed the secure process for transferring over that wallet. And it's that old phone freak technique of calling and going, hi, yeah, my phone service sucks, or hi, yeah, I'm moving, can you please port my number? Which is even easier now because everyone's got Google numbers, so everyone's already moving their numbers off landlines to Google. And there's very little security around that process. So people are going ahead and using this to steal Apple Pay, which I think is kind of cool. So yeah, the oldies are back. And that's one of the interesting things I think as a principle is as we build these new systems, are we thinking about the old attacks? Frankly, it's been a while since I went back and went, hey, what were the old phone freaking tricks? And would they apply to this new environment? I don't know. Can we bring those back up and can we test them again? I think that's going to make for some interesting things to explore. So, tokens, hashes, phone freaking.
Any idea the applicability of some of those hash attacks to other kinds of data obfuscation? If you have a database, you want to say move into a test environment, or you want to send copies of data to somebody, preserve the format. You may have the names that have been modified, but with format preservation, social security numbers, all kinds of other personal information. Any idea if those could be subject to similar types of attack?
Absolutely. So the key thing that makes payment data especially vulnerable is that the industry has to standardize on 1 or 2 types and can't necessarily do salting because they need to pass these tokens throughout the entire industry. So if you look at using format preserving encryption for creating dev environments, social security numbers, those types of things. I hope you're not doing that in a name, but I guess you could. But definitely social security and PII all the time that's one of the use cases. The applicability is definitely there. The question would be, are they using salts and are they being smart about it? But probably people are going click, 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 next, click, click, okay, finish. So in answer to your question, yeah, I would imagine that for the majority of the people who are using form of preserving encryption for those use cases, yeah, absolutely.
Seems like an open question, but maybe a good set of research.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that's a good point to what I said earlier too, is can we look at these emerging systems not as a chance to poke holes at PCI and payments, but to poke holes at all systems, right? Because all data is all data, all encryption is all encryption. And those same types of attacks that we've used for years and years would apply in those other areas. So, hi, you guys are all late. You missed all the good stuff. The rest of this is just me like recapping and it sucks. So the real good stuff was like 15 minutes ago. No.
Us trolling.
Yeah.
That was the good part.
There's like hardly any trolling. I thought.
Oh, you haven't picked up your phone yet.
Son of a bitch.
21st century trolling.
21st century trolling. All right. So just to recap for you guys.
And Twitter.
Wow. You're gonna give me a seizure.
There. That's what we talked about.
Start.
Okay. Now you guys are all caught up.
That was like a 20-second recap.
Yes.
Wow.
Payments, drugs,
Thank you.
PCI,
Way.
TGX.
Ah, my head.
We're making better criminals. Apple Pay, not as bad as you might think. Fun to play with in a lab. This guy set up a really cool lab environment that we tried to break. And we passed tokens, and format preserving encryption is being passed on by PCI to get you out of scope, which will get us into trouble. And Red is an awesome movie because old guys kick ass. Yeah. Did I miss anything in my recap, guys?
That sounds about right.
All right, fantastic. So, yeah. Now we're on to beacons. Have anyone played with payment beacons yet? All right. So, I'll come back over here for just a second. Here we're talking about terminals and using credit cards to swipe, right, which is your traditional swipe, which you can read off memory and is horrible. We already heard that. The other thing is using NFC, and I lost my marker, so I'm not going to worry about it. Using NFC with our iPhones or Google Wallet. Now we're no longer transmitting swipe data, we're just transmitting the tokens, so the chance of us doing anything is pretty low. Unless they do something freaky with the phone or try to do something upstream. Now, what beacons is, it says, does anyone really like to go to the kiosk? We started with self-service kiosks, so we'd have time. Every time I go to the goddamn grocery store, there's like 15 people in front of me. It says 15 items or less. They got a full shopping cart. There's a baby crying. You know what I'm saying? No one likes those. They're no fun. So what if we got rid of the terminals altogether and buy our food? I don't know. This is food. Trust me, I'm a horrible artist. This is my phone. And now I've got Bluetooth, and I can talk to this thing and say, hey, I want to buy this food. And then I can just walk off to the food, and the food talks back to this, and the whole system and everything works.
Isn't that one of those, there's a lot of stores that are doing that where you just click on the items that you're getting and it gives you the,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. And so if it's Bluetooth, it's a Bluetooth beacon payments. If it's NFC, it's still NFC, and they've just moved it closer to the food. So there's actually an article today. No point in really reading it because I'm going to tell you all the interesting stuff right now. There's an article today in Computer World where they were talking to me about this because Target just announced that they're going to deploy a bunch of these beacons first by the terminals as part of NFC, and then probably within the next year out in the racks, out by the clothes, so people can swipe and they can grab their stuff. So like, hey, what could possibly go wrong? I'm like, beacons, sure, it's all fun. So you got this Bluetooth that's running, you got this app that's running in the background, right? And the app is running constantly. What could go wrong? And the app is talking on Bluetooth, which is set to promiscuous mode, because you're walking around, you don't want to have to type in a PIN code to connect to all this sort of thing.
Bluetooth super secure.
And Bluetooth is super secure. especially if you're connecting to a Uconnect.
Yeah.
What could go wrong? And you got product kiosks going, here I am, talk to me, right? Advertising themselves. Just like we've talked about with Wi-Fi advertising and stuff for years, what could go wrong?
I'm watching enough Top Gear to know that's not a good statement.
Top Gear, teaching us about security.
That's it.
What could possibly go
What
wrong?
could possibly go wrong? And then suddenly your phone or your watch will prompt you and say, hey, I just noticed you were looking at blah, blah, blah. Do you want to buy? And you say yes, and the token follows its way on. And of course, what's nice is all this is out of scope, which I love. So you can just go on your merry way and swipe and buy and place, Bluetooth beacons that are advertising on your products all throughout your store. And PCI doesn't care, it's all scope. Can anyone think of a few ideas just off the top of your head which might go wrong on this?
Just a few, or
Just a couple.
low payment points. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would set up a nice little capturing antenna, captures all the Bluetooth data, and then got it all there.
Right. So now you could possibly do token replay. I like your road payment points. Did you mean item A or item AA? Right. Trolling would be fun. You're walking along with your girlfriend, and all of a sudden it pops up. Did you want to buy? No, I didn't want to buy that again. Don't know where that was coming from. All those types of things, right? Anyone else got any fun things that you could do with Bluetooth that it's
Crash a car.
DOS, right? So you got all these people who are telling, hey, come to my store, and you could flood out all the Bluetooth. Why can't anyone buy anything? I'm not touching crashing a car.
Seems like people would want to integrate this with coupon systems and advertising, which is a big opportunity for social engineering.
Exactly. Huge opportunity for social engineering. Plus, ad networks are notorious for their great security. These Bluetooth, with the exception of like iBeacon and whatnot, these Bluetooth systems are also going to oftentimes the store's app, right? So
The most secure thing you've ever seen.
exactly, I totally trust Walmart to run an application on my smartphone that will run in the background at all time, talk over to Bluetooth that you guys can talk to. Absolutely, I love those guys. I'm sure they have a great
Awesome,
security.
we'll love it.
And they could probably make the payments automatic, so you don't have to even click.
Oh yeah, totally.
I know
So-
a lot of the things that they've got in convenience stores is just like the tap cards. It's basically just like tap it, it's bought.
Yeah, and that's it, right? There's very low user interaction. It just comes right out of your credit card. So let's assume just a minute that PCI was in scope, okay? So this is one of the things I was talking to the reporters about. Let's just have a thought experiment about PCI if it was in scope. Well, let's think about some of the controls. Like, would firewalls help us? No. Oh, I know. Let's change all the passwords on everything. No, that has nothing to do with the attack path whatsoever. Antivirus, that's always my favorite. If we run antivirus on our Bluetooth beacons, no one will dare accidentally ship me Matt Johnson. Physical access, right? We can't keep the guys out of the store. That's the whole idea, is to get them in the store, so that's not going to work. And my favorite, track and monitor access. We'll just hook this all up to Splunk, and we'll have a SOC, and everyone will protect us. No, so the PCI controls, even though it wasn't scope, fail miserably to address any sort of risks here. Not surprising, because compliance controls are always backward-looking, and emerging systems by their nature are always forward-looking. But yeah, PCI, no thanks. This isn't going to work. Some of the things that this opens retailers up to, and this is one that we're already seeing, is walk-offs. So people will watch and see what you're swiping, and they'll walk off with your goods. That's always fun. Very low tech, and again, something that's been around since people in high school were phone freaking. You guys are making me very nervous. I'm going to walk over to this side of the room. We already talked about Bluetooth sniffing and word driving, compromising the phones through the application layer, all sorts of good stuff. So some principles here. One of the things that I've been thinking about a lot was this idea of like credit card equivalent protection. So I stopped on the way here at this restaurant, and I picked up a gift. And I walked in, and I'm like, all right, so I'll give you my credit card. and I don't have Google Wallet or anything. I've got this really funky card that reminds me that's my personal card, not my professional card. So I give her that card, and she's like, I'm going to need to see your ID. So I'm like, all right, here's my ID. I really am me, and I'm not going to show up at the camera, though, because you can someone.
You should. It's fine. It's fine.
Why
I
So-
wish
not?
your number was pointed towards the camera.
Don't worry. This is a private stream.
Son of a So, I'm like showing my ID, and I'm like, I could hug you right now. I want to take your photo. I'm gonna give a talk for a bunch of hackers, and she's like, no, you're not taking my photo. She's like, no, I want to take your photo. You would have taken her photo?
No, I have a question from IRC.
I will
Is it,
answer
well,
the
it's kind of a
question.
statement.
I'll answer the
right?
question in just a minute.
Oh.
So
There's
the-
an implied question mark at the end.
we will take
Starts with
questions
what about?
in one slide, I promise. So I go ahead, I go through this whole card process, I swipe my card. Now I know that, I've got my swipe data and all that's exposed and whatnot. But she took my ID at least, which makes me feel a little bit better. Even though I know if they're going to steal it, they're not going to steal it from my card. They're going to steal it from that terminal or whatever. But at the end of the day, anyone here lose a credit card, get a credit card stolen, and actually care recently? No. I don't care. Not to make that a challenge for anyone on RC. This concept of credit card equivalent protection is, can we demand as consumers that the people who are putting together these beacons, these different payment systems, give us the same level of security as a credit card? And that's not to say that it's actually like a token versus a value. What I mean is that if it does get stolen or compromised, I don't necessarily care. It'll just get fixed. I've got consumer protection in place. I'd much rather, at the moment, use this credit card than use beacons because I don't want to subject my phone to any of that. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's one of the things I'd like to ask for is, could we do credit card equivalent protection? And as a general practice, as we're building our systems, can we give people at least an equivalent amount of security and safety and privacy as we build the new systems as we had given them in the past old systems? Now there is an implied question from IRC. I will now open the floor.
I'll point out that you asked for questions like 6 slides ago.
No, I
Before
asked
you
the
gave us
question
all
at the
seizures.
end each one. There was a seizure warning on when you post this, right? You're gonna put a seizure warning?
No,
Again.
It's live.
You should.
this is live.
All right. What are the
It's too
questions?
late.
What is the question from IRC?
The harm has been done. So Green Jam says,
94.
what about Green Jam 94?
Hi, Green Jam 94.
Says, what about a fake kiosk that switches the buy and don't buy buttons so that every time you say not to buy something, you buy it?
So the buy and don't buy buttons on the kiosk themselves?
Yes.
That'd be more of a web application hack, wouldn't it?
I mean, you could do that on the kiosk. Sure, that'd be fun. And there's numerous ways to get onto kiosks, so you could make that switch. But then, if it's targeting the phone and I say don't buy and my phone goes, would you really like to pay for that? I think I'm going to be smart enough to catch that. Or are we talking about like compromising NFC and, well, even NFC, they're going to prompt you. So
I think that answers the question.
would that be fun? Yes, that'd be fun. I think we should play with the kiosk. Okay, any other questions about payment beacons, Target rolling it out everywhere, credit card equivalent protection, random trolls, trivia about Matt
But that's all
Johnson?
on your phone for
I
later.
feel like the troll,
The trolls are all on your phone for
It's-
you perusing
it's
later.
coming on my phone on my
Yep.
Twitch stream, I'm sure. All right, anyone got anything? Going once, going twice. Okay.
I don't think so.
And questions will be available at the end of each
Are we done yet?
section. No, we're not done.
Oh my god.
You're done. Get out of my room. I was told if I travel with you, I get to talk for a long time. That was the feedback I got out of DEF CON. All right, so now we're going to talk about Starbucks.
we got one last question.
Oh, yeah.
So
Right.
if you had to design payments system,
Yeah.
could you give us a brief description of what it would look like?
I actually really do like Apple Pay and Google Wallet. With having the token and the second form of authorization. My concern there at the moment is not necessarily with the payment system itself, it's with the edges of that. right? So how do I add a wallet? How do I remove a wallet? How do I add a card? How do I remove a card? And I think those areas still need to be hammered out a bit. Not using landline for authentication, but I would probably suggest one to you right now that could be used. And the minute I do that, someone on our system is going to go, well, I could do blah, blah, blah. And that's the thing is we're not really necessarily going to know until we've run it for a while. But I do like the way that the wallets are going, e-wallets.
So with the landline, because like somebody like myself, I haven't had a landline in 15 years.
Yeah. So then they give you the option to have a second cell phone. So that's the other thing is when you think about Apple fraud, right? The concept of, okay, I've got to compromise 100,000 people who have a landline and a Google Wallet or Apple Pay to get their stuff. The numbers are shrinking. It's not the same impact at all. I still think it's pretty cool, but we're now, instead of talking 100,000 people, we're maybe talking 1,000 people. Yeah, because most people don't have landlines. All right, Starbucks. So Starbucks has an app that you can buy coffee, which is glorious. I wish they also had an app that dispensed espresso. I never sleep. Does anyone use the app?
No, I've used the Taco Bell one.
You do use it? Well, the Taco Bell one is way more secure. Let me
Yeah,
tell you. I would stick with that one,
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
but they don't have espresso. So.
They might.
So do you do the gift card part of it?
No.
Okay. So then I can't answer the follow-up question. You're off the hook. You're safe. Do you use a credit card or debit card?
I use a credit card.
Right on. So the app started off this real small thing, right? It was just kind of a kitschy thing. You know, a couple people had it on their phone. The first guy I saw was down at Arb's. He's like, look at me, I can buy Starbucks for my phone. Like, that's awesome. And I had like my Palm Pilot. Like, I wish I had a good phone. But it's now grown to $2 billion annual in revenue off of that dinky little app, right? People buying gift cards, people using it to pay for the coffee, people doing all sorts of things. $2 billion. That is a hell of a lot of money flowing over one little application. And a lot of the parts of the application were not built with that in mind. We're not built to handle that type of volume. We're not built to be that big of a target. For example, the Starbucks gift card. So you can buy a gift card and it deducts from your system, and you can give a gift card to anyone who has the Google or the Starbucks app. Right? So here's how the attack works. They brute force someone's password, so you guys can start stealing his password. Once you steal his password, and you are like,
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or summer 2015. You guys you do not want to know how often that works on a pen test. It will make you very, very sad. You brute force his password. Once you do that, you create and load up a gift card, right? Load it to the max, and then you give that gift card to your friendly neighborhood hacker, who either buys espresso or sells it on the black market. All right. Now, this seems very manual and very slow, but the hackers or the criminals have embraced DevOps, which I love it. If you're going to go into crime, you're going to do Breaking Bites. Take my word for this. It'll be like season 2, Breaking Bites. Taco Pirate here discovers DevOps, right? And like season 3 is all fighting with the computer that he once mentored. We can make a lot of money on this. This is a great idea. This is done in scale. This is a botnet. This is not one person doing it. They brute force accounts as fast as they can. They create and load gift cards as fast as they can. And once they get those gift cards, they sell them as fast as they can. And they will do hundreds of cards in a minute, right? And they will do it until the credit card stops responding. And what really sucks for the people who have debit cards, because they will drain people's bank accounts in a heartbeat. And this is a lot bigger than the Apple Pay fraud, where people are, 1 in 100 still have a landline. A lot of people have Starbucks. A lot of people have summer 2015. So when this news broke, again, the media reached out to hackers, and 9 out of 10 hackers went, yeah, it's passwords. Tell them to get better passwords. Those idiots, they should enable 2-factor authentication. Yeah, okay. I'm kind of sick of passwords too. But I had a couple different thoughts. One of them is risk management. So if you guys have been fortunate enough to catch any of my risk management talks, you've heard me talk about boulder rolling a million times, and the concept of finding a couple key systems and spending all your effort on those. And I love that concept. Let's spend all your time when I'm on defense on my key systems and things that matter the most. Let's do a threat model. Let's look at the parts of the application that matter the most. Let's just suppose that the Starbucks has a very mature risk management program, and they've been doing this for years.
Make it boulder rolling.
Thank you for paying attention, Mr. Johnson.
29 years.
I know. Yeah, it's just
You need to watch him talk more.
probably because you're not paying attention to my slides. You're trolling on Twitter
I saw that.
or yeah. But okay, so let's assume they have this really good program, right? How much time do you guys want to estimate Starbucks has spent securing their app? Very little, because it wasn't running 2 billion when they built it. It was a cool, kitschy thing that they did, right? Of that very little time, how much time do you want to expect that they spent on the gift card portion?
I'll give them 5 minutes.
If that, right? Hey, what about gift cards? Gift cards are cool. Move it through the chain. What does this mean? From a attacker perspective, the really cool things to go after are the things that are small and got big. Are the things that, from risk management perspective, don't look that important, right? They're your dev systems. They're your small unused piece of code. They're your functions that really don't do that much. Those are the things that people want to go after because no one's spending any time on it. So again, thinking about the river of crime and directing that river, in scope, out of scope. Well, out of scope is where they're going to go. And once they're in the out of scope land, what in the out of scope land is low risk from a business perspective? That's where they're going to go, and that's where they're going to hit us. Next thing I was thinking about was, if it talks like a duck and quacks like a duck. No, if you're running $2 billion in revenue through your company, that's through payments. That's an awful lot like a bank at that point, right? I know credit unions that have less revenue, but yet credit unions are held to a much higher standard, and of course banks are held to a higher standard than credit unions. If you're going to do bank-like things, then you should adopt bank-like controls, whether it's in scope or not, for the good of our customers, right? Getting back to credit card equivalent privacy, how do we do that? By adopting bank-level controls. So a couple of principles on that is threat modeling, which is another thing that everyone is sick of hearing me say, just like risk management. But if you think of controls coming top down and being backward looking, they're going to cover a whole bunch of things and maybe stop one or two bad guys, not going to cover emerging systems, and everyone and their brother is going to try and make them out of scope. If you then think about threat modeling coming top or bottom up, it's the intersection of those that have the best controls and the strongest security, right? So if we can do a threat model and say, hey, even if something as simple as going with credit gift cards, how many gift cards do you think people are going to buy in a minute? In a minute? 1? Good. Let's limit it to 1 a minute. Okay, that sounds fair. Maybe it's something as simple as that, right? It could be something much more complex, where you actually map out a full attack by looking at recent attacks and current tactics and procedures to your systems. But just the basics, these people need to do some threat modeling. All right, Q&A. Do we have anything from our friends in IRC?
No.
So has Starbucks actually started working with this app at all, like putting better stuff to it, or is it still just as vulnerable as it's done?
Well, the Starbucks people are working on it,
Okay.
and they've started to address the problem. But the part of the issue is the Starbucks people punted and said, well, if that happens, you need to contact your bank, because it's really a form of payment fraud.
Okay.
Well, then you contact your bank, and it's, if I got a credit card, I'm protected. If I got a debit card, it's up to the bank. Do I want to help you or not?
Okay.
Right? And hopefully the bank then works. They're working through this, just a pain in the ass. Just fix it in the first place. But once they do fix it, again, you're making a better class of criminals. It doesn't necessarily mean there's not some other way to break in and do fraud in Starbucks.
Right, so just cut down on the
And shift the attacker to something else interesting.
Okay.
So that actually might be fun, just to see how many different ways you could steal from the Starbucks app. I have to talk to my academy about that.
We have that
As long as
recorded.
it's not an Oracle one.
Huh?
We have it recorded too. So.
Yeah, they can go back and go, oh, that's what Wolf was thinking about stealing from Starbucks. I'm not going to steal from Starbucks.
You should have kind of interesting. Yeah, not now.
It's interesting to figure out new ways that the criminals are going to go at it and share that information in an ethical fashion. Or you can edit this when you, jeez.
It's live.
This
There's
guy.
no editing.
This guy.
No editing.
Alright,
This is
anyone else
live
want to talk?
television.
Anyone else want to talk about Starbucks?
He's not getting the live part.
No, well, he says he's posting it afterwards. I get the live part. Yes, thank you. Jeez. Anyone else want to talk Starbucks before I flip forward? Going once, going twice. All right. Okay. So even when everything goes right? So we're threat modeling, we're applying controls, we're not weaseling on scope, we're doing all the right things, we're protecting our consumers. Things still go bad wrong. So Woolsworth is just not a high-tech hack at all, but it's my favorite faux pas of the year.
That was a department store back in the day, guys.
Yeah, I had no clue.
Back in the day, this gets back to the movie Red. Back when we were all young, you would
Attention
drive to
makers.
these stores and you give them cash or write a check.
Back when it was still called the
What's
Paca Plaza.
What's a check?
Or
Back 60 years when Wolf was young.
or like
Back-
you
what's a
swap
check?
swap goats or
Yeah, I miss the good old days when we could just swap goats.
Yeah, I did actually know that. I remember that.
That's where Woolworths was in Jackson.
Okay.
There was one in, what? The Mega Plaza was where there was a Woolsworth in Jackson? Wow.
Paca Plaza.
Paca Plaza.
Yep.
Nice.
I still don't know.
I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna do that. So Woolsworth still does exist. They've just radically shrank, and like everyone, they've started their own gift card. All right. So you've got gift cards, and the gift cards can be swiped in the kiosk, and the deducts from a database, and blah 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 blah. Everything I already talked about. Somebody wondered, was it like hacked? Right? Was there like some sort of missing thing in the risk management? Was there something their threat model they just didn't get? Were they not PCI compliant? No, it was even more fun than that. There was an email with all the names and email addresses of all the customers who had a gift card with a link to download their gift card with the vouchers, with a total of 13.
Can I make a observation?
Yeah.
There's probably not a lot of people using it. If 7,000 people had 13 million in gift
1
cards.
million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it is Woolsworth.
Yeah.
It is Woolsworth.
But, so how much did you lose?
I can't even afford my goat anymore.
Leave the goats alone.
But yeah, $1.3 million
This is
in
my
one
screen.
Excel file, which I love that.
Those people also leverage.
Yeah,
It's a little much.
it was. Well, it's crazy either way you look at it. But I agree. Why would you have a gift card to Woolsworth in the beginning? But why would you have that much in a gift card? I don't know. Oh, but no, it's not. This was how many people were sent to the vouchers. This is the total. So this is not like this is how many people were in it. That's how many people received it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. That makes more sense.
Good. So we turned to PCI, and luckily PCI has us covered here, although they'd say it's out of scope, by saying maintain a policy that addresses information security for all personnel. Yeah, maybe training not to export everything to an Excel file and email it would be a good idea. But still, most organizations, even if they're PCI compliant, they're checking the box, right? Yeah, my users will click through next every time we hire a new user. And that's huge. I mean, you can have all the technical security in the world and still get owned by an Excel file. What is that? So, principle here is very simple. We got people to deal with. Questions, comments on our friends at Woolsworth? Sweet. All right. So let me conclude. And see, Kyle's not here, so he's not even going to appreciate my slides.
Well, a couple of us will.
Okay, thank you.
We'll clap anyways.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because
I'll give you a fake clap. It's
I appreciate it. I got a gift
I got
card
naked
for you.
boulder rolling, so I'm good.
I know, I got you covered, man. All right, so concluding, one more thing I wanted to talk about was when you think about security awareness, that's where you get to security culture and inculcating a culture of security so everyone's doing the right thing and hopefully is aware of Excel files and the damage they can do. I was out at Oslo for a security culture conference where a bunch of us got together and we were talking about these concepts and planning out a new framework. And there's some great statues in Oslo. I have no idea why those people are bent like that, but you really should go to that park. It is wild. So after we were at the park and we were walking through the streets, and downtown Oslo is pretty interesting. Downtown Oslo has this thing called window shopping, right? And everyone's always heard of window shopping. Yeah, you go, you browse, and come back to the store when you want to buy something. But no, that's not the case. In Oslo, the window shopping is QR codes. Anything in a window in Oslo, you can download an app for your iOS or Android. Download an app, go up to a QR code, snap it, and buy it, and they'll deliver it to you. Throughout the entire downtown, which is phenomenal.
We need that here.
Couldn't you just like, in a
That's
case
so
like that, couldn't you just like
much
stick a
for
window sticker on somewhere and be like,
Yes.
hey, go buy this, and
Oh yeah, fun with QR codes.
yeah.
Like a
Tons
QR
of
code
them.
that buys me a car.
Yeah. There's actually QR code fuzzers.
And don't
Yeah.
have
So
iPhone.
we did a pen test recently where we were looking at a device with a QR code reader and we fuzzed it and we had a QR code that would pop up a soft keyboard on it. That was fun. It's like, saving that QR code for later. So there's all sorts of fun stuff that can be done with that. But the point I make about Oslo and these QR codes is that payment systems are not emerging, right? They're freaking here. When you're running $2 million on gift cards, when you can walk downtown in Europe and snap a picture on a QR code and buy anything, emerging systems are here. It's done. And it's just going to get bigger and broader as more and more organizations try to scoop up more of the revenue flowing through the payment systems. So the principles that we cover today, and again, think not about these just as emerging payment systems, but as all systems, is hey, all controls make better criminals. Every single control we're doing, all we're doing is shifting the point of attack and making a better criminal. Which is a good dialogue to have because thankfully I think everyone in this room gets it, but all too often like, well, what if I bought this, would I be secure for 5 years? Now, if you bought that, they won't attack you that way anymore. They'll attack you anyway. Out of scope for you is in scope for adversaries. Whenever you're saying out of scope, you're basically giving it to the bad guys. And yes, I got plenty of cat pictures here for Kyle, who's not here. Beware of old attacks on new targets, right? Every time we got a new system, let's roll out that old attack. Let's try the phreaking that I talked about. Let's try the pass the hash. All those types of oldies but goodies, try them in new systems because that's undoubtedly not going to be thought about because these are people who are building new ideas, new systems, haven't had the experience of being attacked for the past 20 years. Compliance first, threat model second, right? So try and meet those standards, don't outscope everything. Controls are good, but recognize that of course controls won't get us anywhere, so do things like threat models and actually compare the path and attack rate to the environment itself. So yeah, I'm really bummed Kyle's not here because I was going through, he's telling me I gotta put these cat pictures in this, and so I snuck him at the end. I'm like, I don't want to put cat pictures, just let it happen. It'll be really good.
Sounds like
You
Kyle.
can't go wrong with cat pictures.
I know, but I don't know anything about cats. I'm not good at pets. I had to like borrow a friend's cat, and I'm like, can I please borrow your cat? Because I need to put cat pictures in there.
Look at Dr. Evil.
Well, yes, but see, you can see both me and the cat are very uncomfortable in that picture.
Yeah, that cat looks
You're
completely
choking the cat.
Like, die, cat.
And PETA shows up.
Yeah, exactly. We will not be talking about stealing
Cat
or
butts.
killing animals. When you're talking about end to end, right? Whenever we talk end to end anything,
That is
That's
a brilliant slide.
phenomenal. Thank you. Go to the end, right? Because all we do whenever we shift the ends, we shift the attacker, and the end is where the attacker's going to go. And all too often we think we've fixed things with end to end, whatever, tokenization, encryption, tunneling, what have you, when all we've done really is move the bad guy. If it acts like a bank, secure it like a bank. If we're doing a bunch of transactions like a bank, let's take a bank's mindset to security for the good of our consumers. And on the opposite side, consumers deserve credit card equivalent protection, right? Any of these new systems, if it gets stolen, displaced, if I get attacked, I want to have the same level of aggravation I have as with my credit card. Same thing applies to any other system. As we're building it for our users, how can we give them equivalent or better security when we move forward? And finally, most importantly, please keep an eye on Taco Pirate. It's gonna go rogue. No, so why is this important? I love the clap. That's good, thank you. The crime is huge. It is growing. It's going to keep on growing. People are going to keep attacking that. That's why this is important. That's why emerging payment systems should be looked at, and we need to protect our consumers better. Okay, I am out of time and I'm out of slides. If you guys have any questions, we're going to take them now. Otherwise, there's my contact info.
You might not be saying that.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm not when I'm going to check Twitter.
Yeah, you might want to have a drink.
It was.
Oh, no.
There's a tweet about me checking Twitter about your trolls.
So we're having drinks? What?
Yeah.
What do you guys usually do after misec? What do we do now? I've never been to
Party.
misec, Jackson.
Yeah, she leads the charge.
Yay!
Yeah, I'm going there for dinner, so.
We're following Cato.
It's past your bedtime.
Yeah, you're the old guy now. You're the one that looks tired.
I don't know. There was some tweet about a trio indentures.